Ever wondered how professionals get that perfectly even hem every time? In this video, I'm letting you in on a little secret that'll change the way you hem your pants, dresses, and other garments. If you've ever looked at store-bought clothing and thought, how do they get it looking so neat and beautiful? I'm here to share my tips and tricks for using a twin needle sewing needle that can be used in your normal domestic sewing machine. Taking that extra step to top stitch your neckline and hems goes such a long way in the final look of your garment. Though I know if you're anything like I used to be, using a twin needle or double needle, as it's also sometimes called, can be just a little bit scary, especially when you get that raised bump in between your stitches, which is otherwise known as tunneling. So let's jump into this tutorial, which is a snippet from my signature course, Conquer Stretch Fabric Sewing. In that course, I teach you all about how to sew with stretch fabric confidently, and if you'd like to find out more, I'll link it in the description below. Make sure you stick around to the end as well, as I will share my other secret bonus tip on how to stop your hems from flipping up after washing and during wear. Let's dive in. Next thing we're going to look at is a twin needle. So again, I choose to use Schmetz, and it's really important to make sure that you are using the stretch needle. So a stretch twin needle or a double needle. I'm using the 4 mil, which indicates that it's 4 mils between the needles. And what it is 2 needles on 1 shank. So the top part goes in your machine, and then you've got your 2 needles coming off that 1 shank that you will then have 2 spools of thread and 1 bobbin underneath, and we get a lovely double row of stitching on top with a zigzag at the back, which is what gives it that stretch ability. So I'm going to load up my machine with the twin needle, and I will show you how we can finish off our top. It's incredibly simple to change out to a twin needle. So you will take your old needle out, and then ensuring that the flat shank is to the back, you insert your twin needle and tighten it up. It is very important to make sure that your foot is wide enough, because if it's not, the twin needles are going to hit and you'll snap a needle. So that is very important in terms of making sure the foot you have on is wide enough to accommodate your twin needle set. Up the top here in my very dirty machine, you should have an area that you can put an additional twin or spool in. So I'm going to put 1 there, and I'll put 1 here. And then I'm just going to put a little cap on the end so it doesn't come out. And then it's just a matter of threading your machine as normal. Some people like to have their spools coming off different ways. So if I have 1 spool coming off this way, I might want to have this spool coming off this way. So I've got 1 coming this way and 1 coming up that way, and then I will thread them. So I'll take the camera back to show you. So it's just a matter of threading your needle as per normal. So I'll put this one to the side for the moment. I'm just going to follow the path of my needle, and you won't be able to use your needle threader. So you might want to get a needle threader, or if you can just thread it. Once you've got your first needle thread, you can put it to the back. And then I'm going to get my second needle or my second thread, put it around the same path. And what some people like to do, instead of putting the second thread in the needle guard, they just leave it. So it does just help with making sure, I'm just going to trim off that end to get it nice and sharp. It does help with making sure you don't get your threads twisted. So we've got our second one there. To show you, I've got 1 needle coming from here straight down, and then I've got 1 needle that goes behind the needle guard. So you can clearly see that they are separate, and it's going to stop them from getting entangled. Once I've threaded my machine up, my machine does have a double needle button as well to let it know. And then I'm just going to leave it on the straight stitch. I am going to lengthen it to 3.5 just to give it that little bit extra. And I am actually just going to leave my Maraflex bobbin in there because I'm quite happy with that. But I can use normal thread in there as well. So with your tension, this is something that can be a bit tricky with double needling. It's where you can get tunneling. So mine says to leave it on auto, or it is on auto. I'm going to do a sample and see how it goes. If I don't think that it is going well, then I can have a play with the tension. It's usually that you need to put it up, but we'll put our fabric under and see how we go with normal. I folded my fabric up again about 1 inch and I gave it a quick press just to sort of make it a bit easier while we're putting it through. And now I'm going to pop my fabric under here, and it's that feeling game again. So I'm really just feeling where the edge of the fabric is, and I want to kind of get it to go in between my needles. So I'll bring you in a bit closer and we can start the twin needle process. All right, so as we go, I will start. We'll do a little back stitch. And then I'm feeling as I go. And I'm checking my fabric. So ideally I should have done a little test scrap first. And as we can see, it's actually looking pretty good. So I've got minimal tunneling. What I do have, I should be able to press out. So if you do get tunneling, you can try reducing the tension. You can try lengthening your stitch. Often it's that your stitch is too short. Let's have a look at the back. So if we look at the back, this actually isn't ideal how it's looking. You can see that the top thread is pulling through too much. And if you have an issue on the bottom, it means there's a problem on top. And if you have a problem on top, it means there's an issue on the bottom in general. So I'm actually going to up my tension so that I can get this a little bit cleaner. I'm not going to worry so much about pulling it out and starting again because it's my daughter's top and I'm happy with it, but it shouldn't look like this. So I'm going to up the tension and we'll see how we go if we can fix it up. I've upped my tension and lengthened my stitch to sort of counteract that tunneling that may happen with the tension being pushed up. Okay, we'll do a little bit and check again on the back. With my tension up and my stitch lengthened, it's looking much better on the back. So I've still got a little bit of the top pulling through, but I'm okay with that. And then on the front, I've got a slight bit of tunneling, but a good press will probably get rid of that. So that one is okay. So I've ended up on a tension of 7 and a stitch length of 4.4. But it's really a matter of testing it out on your machine, testing what it likes, testing the fabric you're using. It can vary a lot even just in the fabric you're using. So if it's a light fabric, it might tend to tunnel more. If it's a heavy fabric, it can tunnel. Tunneling is probably the main issue when you're twin needling, but a lot of the time a good press can help get rid of it. So this side, we've got our tension, which wasn't right. And then this side is much better. So I'm going to give that a good press and we'll see how that tunneling goes. I've given the shirt a good press and most of that tunneling has gone away. So there is still a slight amount on the back here, which sometimes can just come from catching the edge as well. I've even had it happen on my cover stitch before, but this is our cute little tear that we did entirely on the domestic machine. So definitely doable, and it's definitely able to get some really brilliant results on our domestic. Now to my bonus tip. When you're doing your hems, make sure you fold it up at least 1/2 inch to 1 inch to prevent them from flipping during wear and after washing. So just having that little bit extra, a deeper hem can really help to stop it from flipping up, which is so annoying. So give that a try. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below. And to help you further in your sewing projects and adventures, I've linked a couple of videos on screen. And I have a bunch of other resources linked in the description below, including how you can grab your copy of my guide, The Top 10 Sewing Tools Every Sewer Should Have. In this guide, I share simple tools that can help improve your sewing projects today, so don't forget to check that one out.